Let's try it again. Milo. Okay.
Fingers crossed that it's gonna work.
All right. Can you hear me?
Okay, you're like kind of coming in and out for me, but yes, but you're a little lagged as well for me.
Okay, but you're more important.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay,
Yes.
back to what I was saying. I'll repeat myself. So yeah, I was saying that it's been really nice to spend the last couple of weeks with my family and just, as we're processing what's going on right now, it's obviously also bringing up a lot of stuff from the past, from myself and also from my parents. So it's nice to, just have these conversations about how we've navigated racism individually or as a family as well. And just, reliving like conversations that I think every Black family has at some point.
How has this been for your parents? Like, is this like, how do they feel about this entire situation? Is this something that they've seen before, or how are they reacting to it? I'm sure that's really interesting.
So my parents are actually Jamaican
Okay.
and they came to the United States. Well, they met in the United States, but my mom came when she was like in her late teens. My dad came in his late 20s. So, I think that their view on racism has really grown, or just like their knowledge around it has really grown since they've been in this country. And I think, it's kind of interesting because they both were living in New York City when they were younger, but then made a decision to move out to the suburbs because my mom thought, it would be better place to raise kids, better place for us to get an education. And part of that has to do with like the proximity to a white community because we live in a predominantly white area. And it's interesting how I think a lot of Black families have that thinking that you want to move out of the city, you want to be in the suburbs, have access to better schools, but at the same time you also don't really factor in all that you might encounter in those scenarios because growing up, like, all of my friends were white, and who have accents, and this is how I sound,
Sure.
and I think it's just so important to understand that like the Black experience is just as nuanced as anyone else's, and also factor in environment. I was growing up in an environment where I was also surrounded by white people. Um, so I think it's just, interesting, or when you hear like, oh, but you're not really like a regular into the stereotype because I don't speak a certain way. I don't wear, certain kinds of clothes, or, I'm not listening to certain types of music. I think, everyone we've grown up with these stereotypes as perpetuated in the media, on the news, in movies, and, everything that we've seen. So I understand why they thought that, but I think it's
That's the
also
wrong
really
way.
important. Yeah, it's really important for people to
Specify a race in a script, like for a part.
right,
And it's kind of
right,
like, when they specify a race, it's because they're looking for like that stereotype in a way. And I'm like,
right,
interesting. So like I've made it a point to be like, from here on out, if I'm involved in a movie, involved in producing something, it's like there's no specifications for even like a gender or a race, because that just immediately puts like a, oh, clearly that person has a vision in their head for what this character
right.
is, and it just adds to a stereotype.
Do with that person's audience, but at the same time, I just feel like that we give so many more chances,
Yeah,
um, and take so many more risks
yeah,
on white celebrities,
yeah.
for
It's
sure.
just like safer
Yeah,
option,
it's safer. It's safer.
commercially.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not an easy thing to watch happen right before your eyes, I'm sure.
Right. But
Um,
You just have to, I was lucky, like I was always in a position where I feel like people did listen to my opinion. So I could, push for things when I really wanted it, and or had allies in the office that would also help to, advocate for things that I wanted.
Right. And so what's something that can you hear me? Uh-oh. Oh no. Okay. Please request again, Chrissy. I hate this. This sucks so bad. Let's see if she comes back. Don't send the laughing crying emoji at me. This is not funny to watch me struggle. Hi. Happy belated birthday to Iverly. Okay, let's just see if. Hi.
I
Did you hear my question that I asked you?
I did. And as soon as I went to answer, then I heard you be like, "Can you hear me?" And then yeah. So yeah, there's been a lot of different feelings. I think in the beginning when I, made this video about why people should be sharing, sharing just that they're behind this cause. So many people sort of take the position like, oh, I don't want to be political on Instagram. And, that's not what I post about on Instagram. But my argument was like, if you can take time to not agree with what's happening to the Black community, like it's really that simple. And I think a lot of people sort of take the position of, well, I'm not racist, but what are you actually doing to be anti-racist is the question right now. It's not enough anymore to just say, I have good intentions. Good intentions are still impacting Black people negatively. And
For
so
sure.
I think it's, so I just think that it's so important for us to have people in this fight with us, like point blank. And that if you really care, we need to know it. You need to make it known. So, after response to it, it was exciting to see people stepping up and people finally speaking out. And you're like, yes, finally people are waking up. at that same time though, you're like, okay, well, it's 2020 and you're just waking up. Like, we've been talking about this has been happening. So there is a level of frustration to it. But well, better late than never, you know.
Yeah.
As I said, like, we need as many people in this fight as we can get. So, I think things are really shifting. And I think, much like what COVID has done to us, like, we can't really go back to the life we were living before. Like, I don't think that's an option anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
But I do feel hopeful, but like, it's such a long fight ahead of us. Like, I don't think we're going to see major changes, at the end of this year or even next year. Like, this is a long fight. And that's why I think it's also so important for non-Black people who are taking the time to educate themselves, are getting, into the ring with us, like, to remember that, like, this is a marathon. So aware to what's going on, but you have to remember, like, this is how Black people feel literally all the time.
Right.
Like, this
Yeah.
is how we
No,
feel all the time. Like,
yeah.
we don't really have the privilege to ignore it. Like, yeah,
Right.
there's definitely times in the past where, like, you know
No. Hi, Bubby. Okay. God, again. Hi. Can you see me, hear me? A little bit. Ugh, it's so frustrating. Sorry, I just want to hear you speak. Um, uh, you were saying that it didn't feel right to just be posting. I mean, would you like to reschedule? I mean, I really hate to keep cutting you off. Like, if I don't know if it's a Wi-Fi issue on your end. Oh, come on.